How's it going? Hey, Big Sal. Good to see you. Doggone it. Let me do one thing real quick here. I'm gonna have to switch on to my. Forgot my microphone, my good one, or my lapel one. Uh, so Sal, stand by, and as I switch from one mic to the other to make sure everything's working okay. Okie doke. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I think the U.S. finally got their act together on the. Oops. Here we go. Ah, okay. Let me get that thing a chance to warm up. Put that over here. There we go. Look, Ma, no hands. Hi, Andrew. How you doing? Carlos, Abdul. Good to see you, gentlemen. Um, is the sound and video okay? Let me check that now that I switched the audio on it. Everything's okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Hi, Eric. How you doing? Uh, you guys. Oh, good. Okay, they sound. Hi, FFA. How you doing, man? Oh, great. All right. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone's well. I'm glad to see that. Here's the thing I want to talk about. I've had a week and a half. I don't know. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Tourbillon, good to see you. I don't know if any of you, Javier, um, if I just went through and we spent about a lot of money, close to $10,000 on having our driveway repaved. And I always think in terms of watches. How many watches was that? That's sort of a weird way to talk about it or think about it, but uh, sort of a reality of a watch collector. Hey, Maynard, and so we were going through that, and then all kinds of other things happened. We had this huge storm yesterday, and our poor cars had to stay outside because we can't drive on our new driveway until it settles at some point. So it's going through all of this stuff. So now is a good time to buy a watch, right? It's a terrible time. I got this thing this morning from who are they called? Chrono 24. And Chrono 24, I guess they follow you or they have some kind of thing that follows you around and they know what you've been looking at and everything else. And so they said, here you go, Bill. These are the kinds of things that you like. So, naturally, I look at them and they had a bunch of brigades. And, I'm not, uh, I like the really old brigades when Brigade Abraham Louis had had his shop on the bridge in Paris, and so. But I love the looks of brigades; just they're beautiful watches. So they had a whole bunch of brigades, and the prices were all over the place, and so I didn't pay much attention to them because it's a watch that I get upset with watches that are now putting in silicon. So, I'm pouting, so to speak, for him. So anyway, so then at the bottom, it had one of these, had one of my little FP Journe's chronomet. And I think it's just a chronomet souverain. It was either in gold, I think it was in gold. And I went $109,000 for it. And I thought, man, that is crazy. That is nuts. I wouldn't pay that much, and I couldn't pay that much. But it's sort of like, how do you get away from this thing? I don't know. Hey, Watch Monkey and Lee, how are things in the Gulch? Watch Yardstick. Not weird. We all do it. Okay, that's good. Hey, William, how you doing? Uh, hey, let's see. Okay, I'm glad to see everybody is being sociable. Okay, one thing I do want to mention, all of us, I think, lost a very good watch friend this week. And Bruce, most of you guys know Bruce as Blue Shirt Buddha, and he always is. This guy's just, he's two things that I like about watch collectors. He's a gentleman and he's knowledgeable. And so it was always nice to hear from Bruce. And uh, one of the things that I was really glad that he was able to do was to hear his story about how he got his beloved bluesy, his Rolex bluesy, and that was such a cool thing. And so anyway, also some of you may know Blue Shoot Buddha from the Punters, which he did with Thomas, and so there's that loss, and it's sort of a loss of a really good guy. We never lose the rats. All of the ones, the trolls, they live forever, but a lot of good ones. So anyway, wanted to mention that and rest in peace. Hey, Watch Habit, how you doing? Um, yeah, yeah, he was nice. Being a nice guy. There's a whole saying, "Nice guys come in last." I don't think so. They come in. Okay. Yeah, yeah, he was all of those things. It's just sort of a guy that when you see him around, you're not going to get some snarky remark or he's just sort of cruising along. The thing is, I noticed too, the interaction that Bruce had with other people, they were always nice to him. And I think it's sort of one of those things, what goes around comes around. And so he had a lot to teach us. And I think that was a good thing. And me, I got a lot to learn. I got a personality about as smooth as sandpaper. Okie doke, guys. All right. So, what I wanted to talk about today was the situation of, I mean, the economic situation. I don't know what it is in Europe. Here in the United States, we're experiencing inflation, and it's probably, if it happens here, it seems to happen to a lot of places. Not every place, but a lot of places. And all the prices have gone up and all kinds of this soaring inflation, and it's not, doesn't require a Wharton school of business degree to figure out what it is. And it's, coming out of the pandemic, you had all kinds of disruptions and you have the supply chain mess. And so there's, going back to one of the business fundamentals is that you got low supplies and high demand. Okay, well, the demand, if the demand just stays steady and, the availability goes down. Well, this has affected watches too. I think a lot of people pointed out that this 2021 Grand Prix, they didn't think the watches were so hot. And that probably was due, I think, in large part to people scrambling around trying to, you know, get out of the pandemic, getting people back to work, getting the kind of supplies you need. And so I think this year, the rest of this year, I don't think a lot's going to happen. But I think throughout next year, you're going to see the rebuilding going on. And so for 2022, I've got very high hopes. We may still have inflation as things get back to normal, but um, that's the way things are. So what do you do as a watch? What do you do as a watch collector with a bad habit? You want to watch, you want to get you want to buy, or you want to get a watch, any kind of watch. Well, first of all, one of the things I've said before, if you got some watches to sell, now's the time. Uh, Really a good time. Hey, Clyde, how you doing, man? Anyway, so in taking a look at that, uh, the other day, uh, I sold my watch through Sotheby's, and ever since then, I got all of these notices from Sotheby's, and so I thought, well, I better compare 'em with Phillips and some of the other online, where they have watch auctions. And so I get all of this stuff from there. So anyway, um, So I'm looking around and I see this one and I like to look if you're looking for deals, what you want to do is you want to find something that you know has sort of an interesting kind of complication or module or something about it that most people don't know about. So looking in there is this watch that I really like, but I mean it it has such a novel element to it that it's how to put this. Um, it's different. It's unique. Anyway, tell you what it's called. It's Hermes Arcade, I think, or something like Arcane, and it was called Suspended Time. I forget Suspendu, I think is the name of it. And what it does is just flat out weird but cool. Uh, it's a very romantic uh, deal on this watch, and what it what it has at the bottom, it has a retrograde hand date. Well, I still don't have a hand date. That's one I always wanted to add to my collection. And so I was looking at the prices of this Hermes Suspendu, and they're really expensive. They were mostly over $10,000. I don't know. Well, so much for that. And so then I saw this one on Sotheby's. Now, the thing about an auction, you got to go in there and have your calculator handy, and it because what you're going to have to figure out, you got to add 25%. Well, they had the starting price as 5,000, and so I figured it out. It's about 6,000 something. So I thought, well, I'll watch it for a while and see what happens. Well, nothing happened. Nobody put in the minimum opening bid. So I thought, maybe I'll just sort of jump in there at the last second and get it for 5. And which was, I really didn't want to spend that much money because I got money set aside for some other watches. But I thought here was the deal. I always, strike while the iron's hot. So I just kept watching it, and all of a sudden it said no reserve. Now, what that means is that they'll take any bid. And somebody went in there and they bid $1. And I thought, huh, you know. So I put in a couple hundred or something like that just to see what would happen. And pretty soon, all of a sudden, it was sort of like, cockroaches coming out of the walls when you turn the lights out. All of these people suddenly wanted this watch. And so they got into a big bidding battle. And my general view of bidding battles is it's time to leave. It just I don't want to. I'm not trying to prove to anyone I'm a rich guy. What I'm hoping to do is sort of get one under the fence, and so I think it was sort of got stuck right around 3,500. I thought, that's not bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait till the last second and sneak in a bid while nobody's looking and try to get it that way. So I waited, and before I knew it, it was up to 5,000. Now, what the bid is on these is that if the bid says 5,000, the guy's top bid may be 6,000. You don't know what it is. The bid that is showing shows what the highest bid is right now, and then plus you have more that the person may have in his back pocket or her back pocket. And so here it was at 5,000. So I thought, well, heck with it. I'm not gonna get into that because that could get all I would be doing is sort of messing up somebody's day by putting in a bid for like 5,200 or something like that. But the thing is that it was very exciting, even though I didn't get the watch. And it's a watch I'd really like, but it's I don't know if you know of watches or you have any watches on your list. Yes, I really like that, but I don't want to pay a lot for it. If something comes along that's a good deal, I'll get it. And so this is basically what I've been doing. I've been looking for little things like this and trying to find something because there's stuff out there. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I think a lot of watch collectors have become a lot more savvy, because they're starting to discover watches that are really have something very special about them. My own discovery, our latest discovery, I should say, was Van Cleef and Arpels. Boy, they got some really good ones out there. But like everything else, they're starting to get snatched up. Hermes, Hermes is a funny thing. Oh, by the way, too, something else that was really interesting about this thing. Hi, Neff. The guy had put down on they have a real good description. By the way, too, if you see a watch, you don't know what's in it, take a look at some of the descriptions they have at auctions because they're often loaded with really good information. So this guy had an ETA 2892 movement. Okay, 2892 is, but I knew that 2892 wasn't dealing with these all of these tricks that this watch was doing. The retrograde hand date, nor this thing. What you do on the suspend do, the idea is that you're out with your date and it's time to go home. It's almost midnight, and so you hit the thing and it stops the time, and then and then later on you pop it and it goes back to the correct time. I thought, wow, and it's like you know, very romantic kind of gesture, you might say. But anyway, like I said, this suspendu eluded me even with its ETA base movement. The complication was made by Agenor, and this is why I thought it was so good. By the way, too, it won one of the Grand Prix awards a few years back. So it's a really interesting watch, and those are the kind of watches that are fun to sort of to seek out. Also, too, a lot of people have a they think if a watch is by a fashion company, or what they consider to be everything must be fashion. These luxury companies are hugely rich. Chanel is very wealthy. Louis Vuitton and all of these other ones are, and some of them have sort of like I don't know, watch thing to for whatever reason they thought, well, I guess we better have a luxury watch division too. Now, I'm not talking about slapping in a logo and a quartz, but rather something really interesting. This is why the Chanel one. This isn't the J12, but they have one that's called the Chanel one. Of course, they talk about it how they're doing all this stuff on how they're making everything themselves. Well, that's never true. And I think there's a group of us who are working on a project right now. We're finding out nobody, nobody does everything. There are all these companies in Switzerland, and what they used to call in the back in the old days, you stop Soj. And what it is that everybody does a little part and they're experts in it. And so you get a really great watch. Whereas people say, well, I want them to do the whole thing. And, especially the in house movement. There are about at least five movements I can think of that I'd rather have than an in house movement. All right. Most of them, anything would be good. Clyde, Hermes, and Herpes are not related. In economics, there's a big literature about auctions. The winners usually overbid. It is called the winner's curse. Yeah, yeah, FFA. That's true, and that's a very good thing to know. Yeah, this is why I sort of back out at a certain point. I mean, it's like I'm easy to outbid and I know where I want to stop, and I know the value of. I mean, I know what most people will pay for a watch. That's another thing. If you go into an auction, boy, spend some time at all of go to Joma Shop and go to everywhere, Chrono 24, eBay, every place. Find out what the watches are selling for. I've seen watches that have gone for crazy amounts, way over what you can get them for on eBay or Chrono 24. So that's something that, yeah, the winner's curse. Okay, let's see what's going on. Hey Hughes, how you doing? Watch habit. Many savvy collectors will bid based on the future value of a watch rather than what it's worth today. Yeah, watch habit. I bet you're whether you what I don't know whether I'd call them savvy or not. I'd call them savvy economically. It might be a smart thing to do. I don't, like, if somebody had bid on this watch a couple of years ago and got it for, let's say, overbid to 30,000 or something like that, and now it's worth over 100, or not worth, but people are, putting out that kind of money because there's nothing else out there. All of the watches at FP Journe for 2022, let alone 2021, are already sold out. So yeah, you go to these auctions and they're great. This is why I'm saying this is a watch seller's dream right now. The problem that your commercial watch sellers have, they don't have any stock, but we do. We've got some watches we've been thinking of, maybe I'll sell them, but it's too big of a hassle. I'll tell you, even though they add on the 25% kicker to it, man, I tell you, it's selling a watch on an auction right now is good because what you're hoping for is what FFA called the winner's curse. And the last one I sold, it did great. And it's sort of a kind of watch that was not a kind of it was a good watch, it's a wonderful watch, but not one that was I was wearing anymore, and this was sort of sitting there. And there are a couple other ones now I'm thinking, well, if I'm gonna do it, now would be a good time. And then I'll have enough money to do something else irresponsible. Something else that I found too, great time, making my own watch. I mean, and by making my own watch, what I'm talking about is going to China or someplace like that, or Germany too. I this latest one I made, buying a really nice case, uh, getting a good movement. I got a Soprod A10 I've had, and I still haven't finished the project. I've gone through 2 very expensive cases so far, and, then I found out that the, dial wouldn't work, and I got a new dial for it, and it's the kind of thing that has been going along very, very slowly, and that's fine. I mean, what I'm waiting for, there's a lot of other things going on. Hi, Dunja. How you doing? Had something similar with the retrograde from Frederic Constant. Apparently, Agenor made it. Uh, didn't know, and now I'm sorry I didn't get it at the time. Did they? Dunja, here's what to do. Go to agenor.ch, and then underneath it, they'll have one of the categories they have is called realizations. And you get this long list of things, and you hit, they have these little arrows, and you hit the arrow and that goes to the next one. And you can see all of the watches that they have complications for. Now, I think there are more complications than they show. All right. Um, and so that Frederick Constant, maybe it's not, I don't remember seeing it, but it, may have been something I overlooked. That was how I found the Hermes Suspendu was, there it is. Same thing with the one another watch I really like that, nobody gives a, thinks much of is the Chayume, and especially the one with the Agenor uh, module in it. But I was looking at those things. Even without that, they have some really good looking watches. I mean, if you're a person who really doesn't need a dress watch that much, but would like one for your collection, and have one with this, like, a very classy historical French jewelry maker. Chaumet watches has some just gorgeous watches, and sort of nice when you go and it's sort of like a Harry Winston. People back, where you're Harry Winston, people don't know a thing about watches. Oh boy, you got a Harry Winston. What about that? Uh, okay. I kind of want to see if I can trade some of my watches and combine them into one big purchase. Just not sure about the hassle of it all. You know something, Hughes? That I'm the same way about stuff. I don't want a hassle. I just the watch collection is a fun hobby to me, and so hassle and you know. Oh, I tell you one thing though, you better the when you win a bid, it's Sotheby's or Phillips or one of the other ones. You better be ready to pay right away. We want our money, and so you use your credit card or something. And, on the other hand, though, my god, it took them over a month, well over a month to pay up. If you're selling a watch, you wait and wait and wait and wait, and finally, "Could I talk to your manager?" kind of thing. And I got this semi-snippy thing from one of the assistants saying, "Well, it says that, you don't expect to get paid for up to 45 days." Well, it was in the fine print somewhere. They didn't exactly advertise that. But on the other hand, there was so much, I mean, it did so well on the sell. Okay, I'll wait 45 days. I did. And that's another kind of thing. There's uh, being the really good ones. And they're, see, what are the major ones? Oh, yeah, Christie's is another one. Christie's, Sotheby's, and Phillips. Phillips right now has an auction going somewhere. I don't know how they do it, but Phillips gets these great watches. Um, I knew this guy back when I used to spend a time when they had this wonderful when Vacheron and Constantin had this great site called the Hour Lounge. I think it's still around, but it lost something. And the guy that used to run it for I forgot who for Vacheron and Constantin uh, went to work for Phillips, and I went and visited him one day at the New York store, their New York store. It's a big, wonderful place. And my God, the stuff they had there, the watches they had, he's showing me all the watches that were coming up. Then this one guy said, working there is like, oh, here's the guy that just fell off the turnip truck. He says to me, bid high right away. I thought, what? Do I? I don't do that. I sort of be patient and be savvy. Dunja, hey, Dunja, something Dunja mentioned about uh, Frederick Constant having a retrograde module by Agenor. By the way, too, Agenor's has got a lot of intellectual properties. And so I think part of their good hunk of their fortune is not from, cranking out watches or watch movements, but rather from a lot of the intellectual properties. Hey, obese tuna, how you doing? Um, Neff, I hate dealing with money. Worst part of this hobby. Neff, you have no idea how bad it gets. I got right now. I got I'm dealing with way too much, and not my money, but yes, I agree. Money's hardest part of everything. That's so too. Neff, let me give you another thing. It's one of the hardest parts of dating. It's the second hardest part. Uh, well, I just bid on eBay for a Seiko chronograph. I guess that doesn't count. Yeah, it does. Yeah, in fact, that one of my very first watches I got when I knew nothing was I got oh, what were they called? El Laura. I got an El Laura, beautiful watch, solid gold. I got it on eBay, and I thought I had gotten the deal of the century, and when in fact I had overbid everybody by way too much, just because I didn't know any better. Here was a watch I think that was listed at 22,000 or something. I got it for less than half that, and I thought I was just the smartest guy in the world. Brand new. Watch arrived. What a beautiful watch. I love that watch. Took it to a friend who's a watchmaker. He said, "It's got an ETA movement." I was, God, I was mad. Oh, Jesus. Um, you seem to think the auction house is your friend. Newsflash. What? God, I tell you, listen, Clyde is telling me they're not my friends. Let me, I tell you, as a seller, they're my friend in this respect. They want to get as much as they can because they're getting 25%. And 25% of 20,000 is less than 25% of 40,000. And so, yeah, they want to help you out. Not your friend. That's like saying your defense attorney is not your friend. Of course they are. Oh, let's see. Auction houses like to hold on to money, and sometimes they need to launder the incoming funds. You're telling me that not only that, not only do I naively believe they're my friends, they got me hooked into a money laundering scheme. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't buy a watch for the money. You're right. Um, Oh, hey Tim, what is really want the AP 39, but not worth 100. Oh my God, is that what it is? Do you think it's ever going down? Yes, I do. This is why I'm saying now's a good time to sell. What Here's my advice, okay? Take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's about as Polonius says, buy low and sell high, but that's what it is. Right now, sell some watches, put your money someplace safe, and you know, and wait until the things change around. Here's what's going to change is that uh, there's a point. I mean, you have it's sort of like a cloud. The higher the cloud goes, the fewer that are going to be able to be on top of that cloud, and that's going to happen. I think but I don't know how or what configuration it's gonna take. I really don't. There's a reason they call economics the dismal science. I think, I don't know how much research there's been done on the effects of pandemic. One study that was interesting, they compared, I think it was Norway and Denmark with Sweden. Sweden's had sort of a laissez-faire view toward the pandemic, and they were somehow thinking that if enough people got it in Sweden, they'd have herd uh, immunity. I don't think they understood herd immunity too well. Well, when they compared the three countries, Denmark and uh, Norway both had lower rates of COVID, and they had quicker economic recovery, whereas poor old Sweden, I got my great grandfather was from Sweden. What would he say? Like, I don't know. Oh, have you heard of Suge Sandstrom Royal Capital? A very nice steel dress watch with a Vaucher micro rotor movement. Very nice price, about 6,000 euros. Could be an interesting video. Yeah, listen, I'm always looking for, something interesting like that on a video. One thing though, I did find out, um, for a long time, people are saying, "Oh, you've got to do something on Ocean and the Oxum Junior," and so I finally did, but people just weren't interested in it. Very, very low interest in that. And that's too bad. But I do it anyway. I This is one of the things. I guess you get all of this. I don't know if any of you had any YouTube, but you get all this stuff from the YouTube people. Oh, do this and do that, and like, oh, you're gonna make a lot more money if you do this or you can do that. I'm too. That's that's not the fun part. I mean, why do it if it's not fun? I'm retired. Um, Anyway, hey, Paul, 25%. Phillips now up to 26% buyer's premium. Ooh, the hammer price is just the beginning of the pain. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, I'm not surprised it's 26%. What they hit me with was 25%. And then there was some other fees plus a $275 for shipping. Like, what do they do? Set it first class on the Titanic or something? I don't know. Oh boy. Uh, I'm starting to call 2021 the great abstention for watch sales because most of the folks I know are sitting this out. Yeah, for I think there are two good reasons for it. One is tough time for the economy, and the other thing is there's nothing there. Thank you. It's frying pan time. Okay, guys, got to ditch that. Oh boy. All right. If you're, we'll be talking about some similar things this afternoon. If you're interested, 4 o'clock New York time. Everybody stay safe. Have a great day. And we're having another storm today. And I finally get to put my car back in the garage to catch in the driveway. We'll see you.